Learned Optimism, Martin Seligman. Wonderful title, excellent book. After all, Martin Seligman is the co-founder of positive psychology. Sometime around 2000, he came up with this notion together with Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, the other co-founder and author of some brilliant books, including Flow. Flow. Let me put down a note that we have to speak about that as if we have to, as if we're pressed by the audience. They keep asking. Flow is about being in the zone, about top maximum experience, which is interesting. It's not. As Csikszentmihalyi was saying, people thought we would find participants in the study showing good results when they're on the couch in front of the television. Okay, relaxed, I finished work. No, it's not. It's moments at extreme intensity when challenges meet expectations. But I'm not supposed to talk of flow now. I will talk about flow when it's due, not to fall into that trap. There's Sonia Lubomitsky, The How of Happiness, I think it is. She mentions a cartoon in a major publication, maybe the New York Times, Washington Post. The first, there's a man. Maybe it's not in this order. Probably it's not in this order, and it's not exactly like this, but something like he's playing golf and thinking of his job. At his job, he's at the desk, but thinking of sex. And when he's having sex, he's thinking of golf. The permutation, maybe of sex, he's thinking of work, but you see what I mean. So I'm following in that. When speaking of learning optimism, in fact, I'm moving on to flow, and at flow I will come back to learning optimism. Martin Seligman, co-founder, I was saying 2000, about 2000. His daughter came to him and said something like, asked something like, why don't you get it from inside, from there, from Johnny? Oh my father, you're so grumpy, Daddy. And he realized that indeed he is. So he's been for 30 or more years quite grumpy. But then he changed himself and the world, inventing positive psychology, thinking, okay, so for most of its time, psychology has looked at people with issues, try and bring them, so to say, from -6 to 0. When they should concentrate to making normal people, bringing them from 0 to +6, making them happier. And indeed, that's a very strong domain now. At Harvard, the most popular course in the history is not of mathematics, literature, economics, but the lectures in positive psychology of Tal Ben-Shahar. Learning optimism. In his early days, as an expert, Martin Seligman worked with dogs in a study which honed him the effects of learned pessimism. Poor animals were kept in enclosures from which many of them, the two groups, those in this group of learning pessimism, were not allowed to have means to escape. They were given some shock, electric treatments, electric shocks, I think it was, I don't know. Anyway, some pain, some discomfort from which they couldn't escape. So that later on, when barriers were removed, they could jump over them. And limited pain, I hope it was repeated, they didn't bother, they didn't jump anymore because they've learned to be helpless, even when they could do something about it. So you have this situation which I associated recently with Russians, perhaps Chinese, living in societies where there's no remedy and people just go ahead with their pitiful lives in dictatorships. I'm not insulting them, I'm just saying we've been there. I helped change things. I took part in a revolution. 1989, I deserve a small monument. I keep saying that. I'm not guilty. I just boast about that. That's whenever the situation demands or it doesn't. More often, there's no apropos. No, by the way. So, learned optimism. But let me, I should include something there. I wanted to. The Chinese. It's in the news last night and this morning. The Chinese, out of a billion, 400 million they have, more. Some thousands asked for Xi to go away. Wow. So, learned optimism maybe at play there. Just as the dogs learn to be helpless, we can learn to be optimistic. That's the point. And there are quite a number of rules of happiness we can apply. And I intend to try and speak a little about some books I've read in this wonderful field.